You're listening to the MLS Fantasy Insider, bringing you weekly tips, tricks, and advice for the official MLS fantasy game. Hello, and welcome everyone to tonight's episode. This is going to be a real fun one, so I'm working on getting the social out right now. Have it out there on Twitter and out there on Blue Sky. Getting ready to post over at Discord so we can make sure that everyone is aware we have guests who are titans of the game with us tonight. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Let's see here, get the announcements there. And of course a very special episode with a historic first in MLS Fantasy. So that's something else that we should talk about.
It is, right? It's kind of, it felt like a first. Yeah.
It is. It's absolutely.
It's gotta be.
It's pretty cool.
It almost happened once before, and we'll get into this in the show too. But
Yeah.
it was adjusted.
Yeah, I was texting Cam. I told him it's much better than somebody just running away with it. Give people something to look at. It'd be
Yeah.
Right. No 30-point lead last week for Functory.
cool. Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, there we go. Messaged out on Discord, messaged out on Twitter and Blue Sky, so we got the socials taken care of. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. You have come in right at the end of the regular season, but don't worry, we'll have at least one more episode. It's just going to be one. It's not going to be at least. We'll have one more episode after this, give a little bit of time off for everyone to kind of settle in, but we'll have our annual fantasy year-end recap, just kind of takeaways, general thoughts. We'll get some polls from the community for what people want to see next year, what you liked, didn't like. So we'll have that coming up. But you've come in at the very tail end, and so we are glad you found us. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button to follow us here on YouTube. Then you can know about us when we're live next year, and with the little bits of stuff that we have. So it's going to be pretty fun, and yeah, we've got a great episode in store for you. So I'm really excited. But before we get started, since Gene is here and prompting us.
Recording in progress.
I did that last week, but we had that little weird technical snafu in it, and it messed with the recording, and so I had to end up pulling the audio from YouTube. But so that's why we do it for the backup. So with any luck, we won't have to worry about that. So, but yeah, socials out, share that. We will go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 31 of the 2025 MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by the fabled Triple Game Week. Yes. Actually brought to you by the amazing MLS Fantasy Insider Patreons. It's because of you that we're able to keep this project going. Find out more over at patreon.com/MLSFI. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partner in fantasy, Ashley Savage. But we'd also like to welcome two very special guests with us. Technically, overall ranked number 1 and number 2 players in the game, though also technically tied with their score, Eli Redpath and Cameron Troshynski. Welcome, guys, to the show. Happy to have you here.
Let's go.
Thanks, Reid.
Yeah,
this is great. Thank you, guys.
It is, and Ashley's back after she started back to work, and you've had weird schedules and things, and so sick and
scheduled kid things on a Monday. I don't know what we were thinking.
That's
4
ridiculous.
choices.
Yeah, all
Absolutely
around
ridiculous.
maybe Cam.
But no, we're stoked to have everyone here. As you know, Eli did some writing for us earlier in the season. Now he's at college himself, and so he's not been featured as much on MLSFantasyBoss.com, but we are happy to have him here, and we're going to kick off with our Q&A session. I almost didn't do this, but Cam said no. No, we have to give Eli the same treatment that we give everyone. So Eli, got a few little questions here for you, just to share your history and some of your approach with the fans, and then also just some questions for you guys, just kind of general about your positions right now. So Eli, just kicking us off, how did you get into MLS fantasy, and just what's your experience playing the game?
All right, so for those of you who don't know, my dad played fantasy. I mean, he was all right, and he used to play back in the day, and then did some work with MLS. He wrote the rankings article for a while, so just kind of being around him, naturally, I just kind of got into it, and I think I've I think I've probably had an account since I was like 9 years old. I found a screenshot a while ago.
Don't tell
It
Benjana.
was,
That's
it
crazy.
was a long time ago, but yeah, it's I mean, just love the league, fun game. Yeah.
And so that's definitely a throwback. And I know we usually get your dad on here at least once a year, but it just didn't work out this year. But I guess without writing the article, that's where Eli kind of had a different approach to it. Christian was doing the rankings, and a few other people helped him, but Eli always had those like games you had to target. So some of those cream of the crop players. You did that for us. You've clearly not fallen far from the tree. What is your general approach when you're building a fantasy lineup, though?
Yeah, it's kind of changed recently, or I mean, I guess this season from last year, I got really burnt out on it. I would sit in class all day and just kind of mess with it all day. And then by this time of the season, I'd just be like, oh, let's just get this over with. But so this season, I kind of let things rest for a few days, maybe get into it Thursday, Friday, start looking at stuff. But
Mhm.
the whole week, I'll be kind of taking in info and just getting stuff going in my head, and then I'll sit down, get everything going, and then just put a team together.
Yeah, burnout can be a real thing, and especially with fantasy. I know we have the Discord, people chat about it all the time, but that's also the great thing about our Discord is we have room for people to just sort of vent and do other things too. So um, that's good to share. I think a lot of people will be in the same boat. So your final solo question is, of course, this is the end of the season, so we're going to be coming up around 2026 very soon. But what advice would you give to any new players who are just starting or thinking about starting playing the fantasy game?
Yeah, definitely. First, you gotta get in the Discord for sure. And then once you're in there, just using all the resources. There's so much good stuff, especially for new players. Then all the stuff on the website, just take all that in and really just use that to build your team. And then another thing aside from that is just watch the games. Like I mean, I think some people overlook it. Just you can get so much from a team by just watching them. And then I try to see as many teams as I can throughout the season to kind of have an idea of how they play and how certain players play and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I know Ashley can probably relate some more to this, but I can tell as my own family life and schedule has gotten busier, and I've not been able to watch as many games or even just catch like the recap, like the condensed recaps of games. That it's definitely been like, oh, I didn't realize that happened, but it's super
Yeah.
important. And fortunately, it is made pretty easy by some of the recaps and the extras offered with the Apple TV lineup, but it's still important to do.
Did you just say something nice about Apple TV?
It's yes.
It's a good thing
Yes.
this is recorded.
Right, there we
Yeah.
go. I still don't use their products, but I guess technically I
I
use
know you
that streaming
don't.
thing, but I don't have the phone. Anyway, tangent. First question for both of you guys, Cameron and Eli, so feel free to jump in as you would like. You guys are number 1 and number 2 overall, same score, huge accomplishment, over 3,000 points right there. And you've held onto these spots for a pretty good portion of the season. And I'm just curious, what do you all attribute your success to this year? We just
Yeah,
said
I'll
Eli.
jump in first because Eli did
Yeah.
a bunch of talking already. I was looking through my ranks actually earlier this week, and I think since about week 6, I've been no lower than 13th place, and I've got like 6 weeks in a row of being at number 2. I think for me, a lot of what the consistency ends up being is kind of committing to what's gotten me here and not starting to think like, okay, now I've got like a single digit number next to my name. What do I need to change to maintain this? It's about not changing, especially I whatever I've been doing, it's been working, and so let's just stick with it. Even if it seems like, you'll see a lot of advice that goes like, okay, no, if you're trying to maintain your rank, you hit all the chalk, you hit all the chalk. Don't take any spicy picks, don't do anything weird. But for me, partly because I think a lot of my strategy is predicated upon picking amongst the chalk or chalk adjacent and just kind of figuring out which ones I like a little bit better. But just trying not to change up what I'm doing has really let me kind of stick up here at the top for a little bit.
Yeah, I think that covers the basis of it. I think also kind of just building on what I said, just keeping yourself in the game, not getting burnt out
Mm-hmm.
it helps a lot. And then just really just sticking to what you've done. It's helps a lot. Not changing up your picks once you've already gotten somewhere. It's where it got you. So there's no point in changing up then.
Yeah, I love that term chalk adjacent because I think that's often some of the players that we cover during the show here, where we kind of talk through the thought process of, well, I can see this guy and I can see that guy, and I like that term, which it just sounds a lot better than like, I don't know, you pick whoever you want. I can understand both ways. Like, yeah, they're chalk adjacent. Like, these are the guys, but great arguments. Look at the matchups. Look at everything's lining up, call ups, injuries, all those things. So we had to.
Yeah, I almost think about it as kind of like there's a group of viable players every single week that we all know, like, okay, these players could all go off. These ones are the chalk ones that everybody kind of thinks are the most likely. And to kind of jump into the next question that you've got about player decisions, kind of making those against the grain or that are unpopular and might pay out. I was looking at my score this last week, and when I was making my player picks, going through lineups and seeing all the chatter, I noticed that one player that I hadn't even really come across, hadn't really decided to ever think about putting in my team last week was Evander. He was one that I would say is either chalk or chalk adjacent, but I wasn't vibing with the matchup. I wasn't really into what I think that he's been able to do, and I didn't really love Cincinnati's underlying numbers this year. And so I decided that Evander wasn't going to go into my team, even though I knew almost everybody else in the top 10 was going to have him. And so I faded Evander. I brought in Anders Dreyer, who the underlying numbers have liked all year.
Yeah.
They like San Diego, and he's had a couple of disappointing weeks, but I think those came in spite of the underlying numbers, not because of them. And so that netted me 10 points, I think, and brought me most of the way up to my current spot, tied for number one. And not technically a number two. You're right there, but it is a tie on points.
Breakers. Yeah, the question was what like a player decision that they remember that you made that was against the grain or unpopular but really paid out. And paid out could be not having or having. And I saw you shaking your head, Eli. Did you go with Evander this round?
Did. He was on my bench, and then
he was on my field.
Yeah, I guess. Well, actually, I would have been better off with him on my field because Rusnak was my fallback. So
Oof.
even worse. But it's all good. Yeah. For me, player, I think. Let me see. I think it was game week 24. Yeah, game week 24. I took Navarro against, I forget who it was, but he scored 17 points. That was a pretty big one. I don't think many people had him that week, but that was a really good one. And
I remember that. That was a good pick.
yeah, I stayed pretty chalky though. That was out there for me.
Yeah, I actually made this question because of you, because it's not uncommon that I'll see some conversations with Eli and he'll have some sort of hot take about like, nah, not that guy at all. It's gonna be this guy. And so I was like, he's gonna have a good one. Like, I'm gonna get a question that kind of touches on that. All right, last question for both of you guys, and you kind of alluded to this some already, but it can be a lot of pressure when you're this high in the rank. So how do you all you topped ranked players? How do you manage the mental side of the game?
I think for me, and I got into this a little bit on my previous appearance this year. A little bit of it is I've kind of been around here before. I had an overall 3 finish beforehand, and I've also been kind of towards the top and slipped up and can kind of analyze my mental patterns that made me make some more poor decisions that led me to drop from that rank. And so it's kind of some of that self-reflection of going, okay, are the decisions that I'm making here, are they driven by the same reasons that I'm always trying to make these fantasy decisions, or am I doing this because I'm anxious of, the alternative? I've got a fear of missing out because there's a lineup drop and everybody's going, oh, we got to target this one, but I still don't really believe in it. Am I trying to, go with the herd, or am I doing what's got me here? And so it's a lot of that self-reflection and self-analysis, I think.
Yes, valid points there. I think for me, something I do is just kind of take the seriousness out of it. Like at the end of the day, it's still just it's a game. It's fun.
Mhm.
We do it because we love watching the league and just kind of got into the game. So
Mm.
just kind of take the rank out of it, take the seriousness out of it, and just kind of enjoy it as much as you can.
No, well said. And I know that was the last question, but that's a big part I think of what we also champion here on the show as well. Just like having fun with it. If you like to pick, go with the pick. Get the head to heads. Highlight that part of the game that you love and with your friends. And so it's what makes the chat and Discord so fun and everything else. So I appreciate you guys answering those questions. This will be great. I'll compile some things over the off season. I think we'll have a good little bit of a jump on 2026 with some of these tips. So. And then whichever one of you finishes in the top, we can look forward to maybe another extended interview or something later on. But let's jump into pretty quickly. We had a little mini double game week in round 30. So we've got an even more fun week coming up. But what kinds of any general takeaways or just fantasy highlights do you all want to share from this previous round, Eli?
Don't take Rusnak.
You can't. You can't do
Yeah,
it.
definitely not this week. But yeah,
No.
don't take Rusnak, and that's about all I got.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's near the end. Ashley, what about you?
Um, you know, this is we'll get into this in a second, but it relates to last round. I think there's going to be a lot of players that were really successful in our previous round that are gone or are missing, aspects of their team this round. So, not getting too caught up in the point chasing, right? With some of your Vancouvers or Miami players, because not all of those guys are going to be able to play. Um, and then it kind of is a little bit of a homer take to echo what Eli said. Um, People were really high on Rusnak for the home play, and Seattle will be one of the double game week teams, but I'm a little off of them at the moment, um, and I think that that's just something to look at is which of these double game week teams are home and away, um, because that I think played a big factor in the previous round for sure.
Cam.
For me, I think there were two big takeaways from this last week, and they are definitely oppositional in my mind. The first takeaway was that the underlying numbers remain the underlying numbers. You guys know I love to champion your expected goals, your various other metrics that you can look at and see how a team's performing. And that bore out, especially in the Kansas City game, where we know they've been terrible all year. We
Mm-hmm.
also know that Minnesota have been, up and down. But the right answer ended up being let's target the worst defense in the league, not by the actual goals conceded, but by the expected goals conceded. And we
Yeah.
got huge scores out of Joaquin Pereira and Anthony Marcanic. Um, and so, kind of trusting what the stats are telling you is my first takeaway. It helped me out a little bit in draft league, but I did not have any of the Minnesota guys on my radar for the main one, which could have propelled me a little bit further up the standings. The second one, though, is kind of the exact opposite takeaway, which I know very helpful in the last week. But it's that a lot of our fundamental, you know it when you see it kind of things still hold true. I think Ashley was just talking about the Seattle Portland game, and we always know that that game is a grind. It's tough. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to see a lot of blowouts either way. And so maybe that Rusnak play should have had a little bit more consideration. I'm extremely glad that Zinkernagel got that very last second assist so I could
Mm-hmm.
quickly scrub out Rusnak because I had him ready to start for me too, and I would have eaten that red card along with everybody else. But sometimes some of those extra narratives they really come to play. Similarly, we had two teams coming off of a cup final, a really emotional game, a lot of drama in there, a lot of refereeing discourse. They clearly gave it their all, and so we could have kind of thought that there would be a come down and try to take advantage of that. I know some people really profited off of that Marcel Hartel play. I know
Yeah.
Dante Sealy ended up being a good pick, and I didn't really even consider either of them because I didn't like what the matchup was fundamentally without taking into consideration that they were coming off of an emotional midweek game.
Yeah, for me, it's not a whole lot. I mean, this is the end of the season. It's weird with the double game week and everything uh, that we had, but the takeaway I have is in some ways generic, and it is a lot of decisions were made this past round for who is in the final, who is in, who is out, who has secured a spot for home, who is going to have a play in. So especially in the East, all of it's done, all of it's said, and yeah, it's all been decided who's in and who's out. There's still some things up for grabs in the West, and these are important. These are things that you need to be sure you're tracking with the call-ups. Some players could be gone with what's on the line. Some teams are carrying some injuries. They may be letting rest to go into the Cup finals going to the Cup playoffs for health reasons and for competitive reasons. So that's the biggest takeaway I have is be sure to go to the MLS website, go over to the standings section, and make sure you are aware of who is playing for what and who has the chances to still make something, and then check who is gone, because that's going to, I think, have an impact. And I know I've said that several times, like, oh, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on that. There could be some rotations. This is really it, because part of what this round is coming up is decision day. We'll talk about that. And that is going to be a very real thing that people are playing to continue their season for whatever slim chance it may be, a chance to get hardware. And so that's the biggest takeaway I had, is just seeing that picture further solidify and further highlight those teams who are going to have a lot on the line coming up in this next round. Going over to chat real quick, I forgot to ask about everyone's scores. So if you're in chat right now, share your scores. And guys, how did you all do? Let's just sound off real quick about the scores that we had this past round.
I had 121. It was nerfed a bit by some duds by Rusnak. I felt a bit hard done by Kuipers, only getting 4 points, and they scored 7 goals, but it is what it is. But yeah, so 121, not the best.
Yeah, I ended on a 134, narrowed exactly the gap that I had here with Eli of 13 points. Couple of bad choices, couple of decent choices. I wanted to get a little bit spicy with my double game week picks, and so instead of going with Kuipers or Chris Brady for my third Chicago player, I decided to start Joel Waterman. Was pretty sure that he would keep his passing floor, and then maybe they sneak a clean sheet, maybe he heads in a goal off of set piece, and I was wrong on all counts. He got a total of 4 points when a lot of people ended up with Wagner in that spot instead. So they got that bonus 4 points on top of it. But I think I lucked out with that Evander de Dreyer. And I think along with a lot of other people, started Ali Ahmed. And then ended up with Lloris in goal, so that was not too bad to give me my 134, but could have been a little bit better. But try not to overlearn some lessons here.
Ashley.
I ended on a 125. Also just kind of, I put in Ojeda instead of Seba Berhalter last minute. One of those, like, he'd just been sitting on my team still, and I thought, well, this didn't have much thought behind it. I should take him out for someone that makes more sense, and that kind of bit me. But generally, I also did Sonny instead of Bouanga, which, for anyone that has ever paid attention to me talk, I don't know why I keep disregarding him. He is my number one, and always has been. But yeah, still just, a decent rollout, a couple of misses, but a couple of hits.
Yeah, I too was kind of surprised about Kuipers. I had 106, so it was just a bad round. The majority of mine were misses, a couple of OKs, but I had Messi, so I had the captain pick that worked out well for me, and I had Alba, but mostly it was just the players didn't come through. I had Rusnak and I had Evander, so I mean I got that double whammy right there. Some of that was because of Zinkernagel not starting. I had to reshuffle some things around there, and I just didn't have the luxury to kind of keep up with it, and so it didn't work out, didn't pan out, but we'll see. I did go up against someone in the head-to-heads who got a 146 in the Patreon League, so massive scores, indeed. Looking over in chat, we got Gene with a 132, Christian got a 144, Fizzy got a 144, Footy Canuck 123. So hey, you guys all did better than I did. So those are fantastic scores. So definitely, definitely am proud to see all of that right there. And Christian did ask me later on. I think he also had a banner because he asked me what I thought about that. And I leaned into it like you guys were saying. Like Cam, you were saying you weren't really sure about that one. I leaned into some of the history that Cincinnati and the Red Bulls had, and I thought that was going to bring out more. It did not. So it did not. It brought out a Denke, but not a Vander. So fortunately, that did not pan out. But great to see those scores. Thank you guys so much for that. We've been teasing it. We have a massive triple game week coming up, first time ever, and we're going to see how that factors into decisions for players coming up right after this.
I just can't believe it's the other LA team with the triple game week.
They should have made it Galaxy.
I would have been
Somehow
preferred.
finagled it.
They're missing less people.
Right.
There's the column. The call-ups page was updated today. So there we go. That's pretty good. So many people.
Yeah.
I hate
You guys don't want to take a
how
Boba tea this
MLS
week?
What?
I
Boba tea
forgot
this
he
week?
even
Oh.
existed. Yeah.
Thinking
Yeah.
down to a Bobacy or David Martinez.
Yeah. But for the
Gosh.
final week, they'll all be back. So it's just like, right? I mean, it's like a double game week for half the guys that aren't gone, but then everyone will be back for the final week. Wasn't that how
For
most of these
one
international?
game. For
Yeah,
one
for
game.
one game. Yeah.
There's
So
no
you can treat
chance
it
like
a single game.
The only one I should really check is Denis Bouanga, because that man is famous for like playing on continental Africa and 12 hours later playing in Los Angeles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know when his games are. Maybe he'll
Yeah.
be back for the second one.
I'm certain at least one of us will say it in the player picks. But if
Sure.
either if he's there in lineups on Wednesday, he's going into my team.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Wednesday at 10:30, and then he is Sunday at 7, and then they play their third one at 9 on Saturday, the 18th.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
next week.
yeah.
Definitely missing the Sunday game. It's just a question. When we look at when
I think
Gabon
it's
plays.
Hey, they play on the same day as Sun and them. Yeah, it's 16th and no, not 16th. Let me see.
10th and the
8th
14th.
and- Yeah, that sounds right. 10th and 14th. I don't know. I
I
can
mean,
see
they
Bouanga.
might be
days.
they might be here then. Hmm.
That's 2 days to get to Gambia.
Yeah.
We'll see.
He's done crazier. Like
He's done crazier.
I
We'll
could see
see.
it.
Yeah.
I could see it with him chasing the golden boot, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. No, we'll chat about that. All right. Okay. Social is out there. So you guys see it again. Please do share that. And I think we are ready. So let's get back into it. Hello and welcome back. We are talking round 31 triple game week preview right here. Yes, that's right. I did not stutter. You heard me correctly. And that means we have to have a very quick housekeeping section right here. So yes, this is the elusive, the fabled triple game week. This is the first time this has ever happened. No, it is fabled. It almost happened.
No, you're right. Yeah.
It did, yeah. It almost happened several years ago, like back in the days of Piatti up there in Montreal. That I think in the beginning of the season, in preseason, it looked like Montreal was going to have a triple game week, and it ended up it just didn't. It wasn't. It was broken up in a weird way. But now it is here. It is for real. Your eyes do not deceive you. LAFC has a triple game week. So the round starts this week, Wednesday, October 8th, and that is with LAFC versus Toronto, and that is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. After that, Saturday, October 11th, we have a little just a dash of games right here, and these are where your double game week teams are going to come into play. And then next you have a Sunday game, which is just Austin FC versus LAFC at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that's the second of the triple for LA. And then finally, decision day is upon us. Saturday, October 18th, where we have half the teams playing at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and the other half the teams playing at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that's the third of LAFC's triple game week. So take note of that. Their triple game week has them as home, away, away. Other teams who are here on a double game week, we have LA Galaxy, who has a double home. They are the only team with a double home game. The double away teams, we have RSL and Dallas. And then finally, everybody else is splitting home or away. We have Toronto, Miami, Atlanta, Orlando, Vancouver, and Seattle. So those are the teams that you're looking at for the doubles and the triples. Now, before you get just too crazy about this, I know your mouth's watering. There's some of these players who are just jumping out there. Why is all of this happening? Why do we have this crazy schedule? It's not because MLS. A little bit because of MLS. It's because of the international window, the October 2025 international window. And there are so many call-ups. If you go over to MLSsoccer.com and just look up the October 25 international window, it was updated today, Monday, October 6th. And it is just forever long and forever depressing because there are so many players who are like, yes, I want that guy. Shoot, he is called up. So what that means is that for these double game week teams, as usual, they're very likely some of the players are going to end up being a single game week team, but it could mean that some of our triple game week players end up only being double game week players. That doesn't sound that bad, but I'm not going to spoil things too much because I'm sure we will get into that, but please do be sure you are taking those two things into consideration, as well as what teams are playing for what, as I mentioned in the first part of the show. So to keep up with that, head over to the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. Check out the mega reference. A lot of this stuff's there. This is also one of the rounds where you can go to MLSsoccer.com and you can see these players listed right there as well. So it's going to be pretty much essential reading for this round if you want to finish strong. Guys, anything else that I forgot? Go ahead, Ashley.
There's some decent yellow card watch and suspensions as well, and that's already all up in Discord. So just to throw another wrench into some of our plans.
No, exactly.
I've one thing regarding teams who are missing a lot of players. It doesn't just affect the players you're taking, it also affects the players or the teams that those players are up against. So if you look, you can see maybe a team's missing a lot of defenders. Maybe you want to go and target them a little more, vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
Strategy. Big brain stuff here. All right. That's the housekeeping. Let's get down to the bread and butter. Let's talk players. And we've got keepers and defenders starting us out. Cameron, who are you looking at?
All right. Well, this immediately starts off the triple game week stuff with all of the international absences with potential yellow card watch. I think we normally would hone in on Denny Bouanga and Hyungmin Son for LAFC picks, but they are getting 1, maybe 2 games. I still want as many LAFC players playing 3 games as possible. So I think my keeper, I'm just running a solo Hugo Lloris. I think even if he's getting 2 per game, that's 6, and that's almost as good as a clean sheet. And they are maybe the best defense in the league. And so there's a good chance they get 1, 2. Could they get 3 clean sheets? It's not out of the question. And so I'm just throwing the 2 LAFC defenders that I think are going to start 3 games. I'm throwing them on my field. I'm letting them, and then figure out my third defender spot to join with them. Whether that's Jordi Alba on his 2 games. He is on a yellow card watch, I believe. So he might start on my bench or just risk it and start him. I'm interested a little bit in Alex Roldan, who is, I think, the only reliable Seattle Sounders defender. They've got a pretty good defense. Beyond that, everybody else that I was going to be interested in are either missing at least a game or are on yellow card watch, which I think includes essentially every single Vancouver defender, as well as Freeman for Orlando.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same for me. I just shut my computer when I tried to make my first team earlier. Just gave up on it because
Hmm.
just every single time you click, it's just like a nightmare. Just go and
Yep.
check it and they're just out. But yeah, probably go with Lloris in goal, then Porteous Palencia. Probably risk it with Alba. Just he's been so good as of late, and he could have a bit of an advanced role with Messi out for a game or whatever. And
Hmm.
then maybe I was looking towards a Vancouver defender with all the yellow card watch and absences, probably not. But yeah, just keeping it short with those guys.
Ashley.
Yeah, I'm through Lloris and goal, and then I'm just kind of scrolling through single game week guys. Um, Maybe, but I think Kim's right. I think that um, depending on how hit they are in that first Wednesday game with absences, it just makes sense. How often do you get 3 bites at the apple? I mean, that we've never even said that
It's
before.
a whole
So,
apple.
it's a whole apple if you're doing it right. So I think he's a set it and forget it for me as well. I do like Alba, to allude to what Eli said, when he's been in that advanced wing towards this latter part of the season, he's produced. He's had goal contributions, and so I think that it's worth having him. If he's even with the yellow card, watch. Uh, I will also throw an LAFC defender, probably Valencia, but um, I it's like I said, it's just the three again. I want LAFC attackers, but they're all, spoiler alert, mostly gone. So I am hesitant to do two of them in the back, but like I said, it's slim pickings. And then I'm probably running Alex Roldan. Alex is one of the ones that can get rotated for Costa Rienzi historically, but Seattle really needs these 6 points to, if they have any, that they're a team that will want um, to stay where they are and not drop. Or I think mathematically they can't move up, but I might be wrong. Um, and so they just fell out of a home clincher, so I would expect less rotation, but I also don't decide. So I think that Alex is probably the best. Also getting up and doing a hefty amount of goal contributions from that wing, and getting into the attack offensively. So I think that he is kind of an exception for me at the moment. I probably will roll with a double scrub, but I might not disregard some of these yellow card watch Vancouver players. I I think it might just be worth the gamble based on how many people are missing from other teams. Um, their matchups are okay going to Orlando. And then, they're at home against Dallas, which isn't a fantastic offensive, matchup. So I don't know. That would be a bench play for me for sure, but it's something that I'm still considering if I only roll with one scrub.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for risk there. And I was doing some
Yeah.
research last week or so on some of these Vancouver defenders on yellow card watch. And I know at least I was eyeballing the board pretty hard, and he
Mhm.
has not gotten any yellow cards while playing center back. They all came when he was playing an outside back. So he might be
See,
safer than he
yeah,
seems.
that's the name that kept making it into my team and sitting on my bench. So I don't think it's a terrible idea.
That's a good play, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have many other notes to add. I mean, one thing I'll throw out there is if you feel like you want to take the risk, and I don't like this because of the key. I don't like the keeperoo with this part. So this may be more of a defensive play. If you are concerned about um, LAFC offense and who's going to be there, if you're seeing some people aren't in that first game and that's going to impact their second game is against Austin, who from time to time has had some defensive okayery. They've been okay. They've gotten some stuff. They've got Stuver back there. Okayery. They've got Stuver back
Yeah, I
there.
like it. No, I like
That
it.
that could be something if you're running some kind of scrub or somebody on the bench. Then maybe Austin could be it. They're on the road to San Jose, which also has its own toss-ups there. Also part of the Texas Derby that's going on. So a lot of questions with that. Kind of on the fringe. I don't know if this is fringe chalk like we talked about earlier. Maybe it's just fringe differential or something that we're saying. But otherwise, yeah, there's just so much that's that's missing from so many teams that I think to take a note from Cam has find the players that still have the underlying numbers. If they're able to generate some of those bonus points, if they have a mostly complete defensive unit with everyone, and if, as what Eli was saying, they're going up against a team that may be missing some of those key offensive pieces, then you can hope that those underlying numbers will still be there and the kind of bonus point potential that they could generate. Now, if some of those numbers are generated by guys who are missing with some of those targets with their key passes or targets with their crosses or facilitators of those passing, that's going to hurt. But in a round like this, it feels like that's kind of the only thing ultimately you can look at is just some of what we know about the history of these teams. It's new territory. It's new territory for sure. All right, let's move on and start talking about midfielders. Eli, who are you looking at?
I've got a decently long list here. I think Ojeda and Mueller have to be locks for everyone. Berhalter's there. He's on yellow card watch though, so probably ends up on the bench if you're gonna take him. And then Georgie as well. I don't love the matchups for him. I think the second one, it's at home against Orlando, so it's not too bad. That first one at LA obviously isn't favorable, but he's one of those guys. He's got the high X guy factor, so it's not a bad shout on a double game week like this. And then some of the lesser, I'd say it's like a tier or two below. Go with Azuni or Wolf, Tillman, Delgado, Rodon, or maybe even De La Vega. Just those some choices to make between those teams, but those are some guys who could make something happen across 2 games. And then for single game weeks, I just have a few. That's Mook, Evander, and Heel. Just the 3 that I marked down. Probably won't end up going to any single game week midfielders, but I could see one of them popping off. So
Ashley.
Yeah, oh, like Eli said, Ojeda and Georgie and Mueller went into my team first, and then it was just kind of tinkering between the other two that I would want. I just have a weird fear about Seba with the yellow card watch. I think that um, I want him more for the second game, and so I'm a little more worried about him. I think you could just throw him on the bench and call it good as well, but um, it's just kind of putting me off of him a little bit, even though he did just have such a productive week. I think that Wolf is a decent shout. Again, not someone I really want to start, um, but Austin still shockingly has something to play for in the West, and so um, that might be okay. And then I'm trying to look at Seattle just because, like I said, I think that there'll be less rotation because of where they want to finish for the playoff spot. Um, but Pedro de la Vega hasn't seen consistent minutes. Um, Christian got called up. Um, and so, right? Isn't that the same window or is that a later window? I think it's this window. Someone will tell me while I keep talking. And
Yes.
then,
I
yeah,
had to
right?
scroll, but you got it. I had to scroll, but you
Yeah.
got it right. He's called
Yeah.
out.
missed that one.
And so, well, it feels very 3 years ago, but he's getting called up the last 2 camps. So, I think that just changes a lot about the Seattle midfield. I honestly feel like it makes someone like Paul Rothrock a little more valuable, not someone whose name I think really deserves to be in the list of like Ojeda, Georgie, Mueller, but with the impact to a lot of these other teams' midfields, and like I said, what I imagine is Seattle not rotating and really pushing, with no Rusnak for at least game one and no Christian, I think that those players could see a little more time. If Pedro de la Vega is starting, I think he's a better pick. But it's the away game that I worry about him not playing. But he should, with Rusnak out, he should see a lot more of the ball. But yeah, that's where I'm settling right now. I am happy with 3 and not with 2. So we'll see where it ends.
If there's,
Hey,
go ahead.
do you know with Bruce knockout game one, does Pedro de la Vega get set pieces?
He should. hmm It should
That's
be
pretty
him or Alex. Jesus takes some as well, depending on where they are. Yeah.
I think it'd probably be split between him and Jesus.
hmm
Yeah.
So the only the only player that I think I would add to this list that I don't think I heard. So please, I apologize if I did, if you guys did mention it.
Well, Cam didn't get to go.
Oh, well then there we go. That's why I'm just using number 3. Cam.
Well, you're about to say exactly kind of what am gonna say, which is I think you all covered it pretty well for me. You mentioned everybody that I was interested in. I think we're all chalking around that Mueller, Ojeda, Georgie trio, and then to kind of decide how you feel about Berhalter on his yellow card watch. And then I'm interested in a few of the single game week guys, purely because I think was a Reid talking about it earlier, to really trying to examine what teams have left to play for and what
Mhm.
teams have absolutely nothing here. And so I'm really tempted by that Evander against Montreal. Montreal is dead in the water. They got nothing going for them. And Cincinnati might be fighting for some playoff positioning here. Is this a prime Evander game against one of the worst defenses in the league? Is Nashville going to try to really get after Miami that's had double game week after double game week after double game week? You know, they had their celebration down week, and now are they trying to really cement their own playoff spot? So I'm really tempted to fit one of these single game week guys in. And I tried to learn the lesson of a few weeks ago when I didn't quite have enough double game week guys in there. Um, and they all hit their floors really well, and they got those solid like 8 to 10s. And I had like a 3 or a 5, and then one of the single game week guys go off. So I'm trying not to lean too much into one singular matchup, but I know that
Yeah.
Evander could easily hit that 15 to 20 that a double game week guy might not be able to match. But otherwise, I think everything was pretty well mentioned.
Yeah,
On the real quick read on the double game week side of teams, since the West is the only one that isn't locked, RSL and Dallas and Austin all have positional things to play for, when it comes to like these last few games, and so RSL, Dallas, and Austin, I think you should see a lot from, if that makes sense, because Dallas
Mhm.
and RSL are above the line but haven't clinched, and it's an incredibly tight race. And then Austin has clinched, but they're just within a game of points of going into the play-in instead of staying in an automatic bid. So that positionally, I think, says a lot for the teams on a double. But I like what you said, Kim, because yeah, Nashville is definitely Nashville and Orlando, right?
Mhm.
Positionally, Orlando on the double, but Nashville at home. So
and
Yeah, I
it's
think this week we could see Luna really try to carry his team into a good playoff spot. And everybody goes,
yeah,
well, of course, in hindsight, that makes sense, and nobody took him.
yeah, sure,
I mean it makes sense too with the call up games, and I mean Luna's going to miss one for that, and so we have other teams that's just impacting so much of this craziness. But the one name I'm going to throw on there that I didn't hear is double home Diego Fagundes. Did anybody mention him? Did I just overlook it? Diego Fagundes, 2 assists, 2 goals in his last 4 games, so he's on a nice little run of form. Paintsil's gone for at least one match, I believe, with the call up. Some things still in question about LA Galaxy in general, but potentially maybe this is a bench play. Maybe he's fighting for that spot with Jordy. But a nice little run of form for Fagundes. Home against Dallas, which is missing their starting keeper and at least one defender to international call-up, so not bad there. And then home to Minnesota, probably the harder of those 2 games, I'd say. But I mean, it's definitely, I think, some possibilities for Fagundes to add to your list as some players. If you're thinking about that number 4, number 5, who's that going to be?
Yeah, and this is a failure of my research. On the Galaxy side, I saw Peck was missing a game. I saw Royce was missing a game. Are they hurt? Are they out this week? Do we know?
Royce has been out since like
yeah,
he's been out a while. He was out like all
he's
of
been
September.
hurt. Yeah,
Yeah,
And then
a few weeks.
Peck played in their game on Thursday, but then was out for that one for whatever reason.
yeah,
Yeah, so increases the reliance on Fagundes, but maybe he needs a little
sure.
bit more help. We'll see.
And
Another
also, speaking of a team who has nothing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pride. They're on the shelf right there. They've got that. They've made
that's true.
whatever other tournaments they've already qualified for. So there we go. All right, let's move on to talking about forwards. This will be some interesting discussion. So Ashley, go ahead and kick us off.
I hate this one. I think this is what we've all kind of been alluding to when it comes to everyone you can't have. I threw Suarez in. He's old. He doesn't play any. He's not going anywhere, right? But he's still playing rather well. So I don't know. I threw him in there. I don't love him without Messi, but he's still able to make a little bit of magic happen. So I'm gonna keep him for a weird round like this. And then I put Musa in as well, mostly because of what I said a little bit ago, which was that Dallas is the highest seeded team that hasn't clinched in the West, if that makes sense. So right now, they're in the one-off play-in spot, and they could move up into a clinch spot. So I think that they have a lot to play for. I don't, I don't love the double road, but like we said, LA Galaxy have nothing to play for, and I don't even know who starts for them in most positions anymore at this point of the year. So I think that he's a decent shout. But that third spot, you guys, like, I when I was taking a little bit of time today to make a team, it was 4 or 5 different people. I think that for me, there's not a clear third pick. I don't know what's going on with Peck. Um, I think that, Jordan Morris has looked bad. I think that Danny Musovsky is just a personal villain in my story, so I don't like picking him up, and I don't know if he'll start both. I don't know. I don't have a third person, Reid, and I know you get really mad at me when I do that, but I think that there are so many people. I might go to a single game week person for that spot, and have that be my third bench player. But I want it to be Denis Bouanga, and we did kind of reference that if he's not in that list on Wednesday for their Wednesday game, if he's starting, would probably pick him up and keep him in that third spot.
Cam.
So this was a week where the forward, kind of like Ashley said, I initially thought, all right, it's easy. I think a few weeks ago I said I'm just going to ride out Leo Messi, Denny Bouanga, and Heung-min Son for the rest of the season. It's going to be great. They're going to end on a couple of strong games for all of them. We just slot those right in. We scroll over to that call-up list. Oh boy. And so I know we talked about it a little bit in the interim period here. Specifically, Gabon plays Friday, October 10th, and South Korea also plays Friday, October 10th. So I think it's unlikely, if not already might have been confirmed on their previous broadcast, that Bouanga and Son are officially out for that Wednesday game. But if for some miraculous reason they were there on Wednesday, left for that Austin game, and then came back, I would certainly pick them up. But I had to clear out my forwards, approach it from an entirely new direction. I think I started here, clustered kind of where Ashley was a little bit. Suarez, it feels a little point chasey, but also he's going to be the guy for that first game. And, going against Nashville, going against Atlanta, he can certainly pick up a couple of goals and be worthwhile. I really like Peter Musa. I don't like that he's on yellow card watch, so he's glued to my bench here. But I think with how much he means to that Dallas team, he's not even like the 9.5 or the false 9. He's both their number 9 and their number 10 right now. Kind of the entire offense put on his back, and he's been delivering. He's been putting up some really solid scores. So I think he would be a captain candidate if he wasn't on yellow card watch. But for now, I think he's firmly on my bench. And then after that, just out to the wind. Don't know who my third's going to be. I kind of thought about Jordan Morris like Ashley a little bit. Peck would probably be a lock, but he's unknown health. Who's to say? There's a couple of single game week guys that I'm mildly interested in. I talked about Nashville going up against Miami, really trying to cement their playoff seeding. Sam Surridge could be a really good option at that spot. He's also fighting for the Golden Boot, so when better to do it than against the guy you're competing against. I think that Cincinnati match that I shouted out a little bit earlier, Denke or Brenner could have a really good game against Montreal.
Denke's
Montreal's
out. Denke's out this one before card accumulation.
Denke's out.
Yeah.
He got his yellow card.
Yep.
All right. Well, then Brenner could
Kick
be a good shout.
Kick the
He's the guy.
ball on a set play away from the other team.
He's the guy. If you're getting fed by a vendor, I think there's a strong chance you can do whatever you want against Montreal. But what I might be leaning towards is trying to fit a Miami forward in again. Either keep Leo Messi because he's Messi, stick him on my bench in kind of an Otteru situation, or I'm kind of interested in Allende. He's in pretty good form right now. He's a guaranteed starter for them. I think he's got a few goals and assists recently, and unless I missed another yellow card or another international duty, I think he's here for both games. And so today Allende might be my other guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same track. I've got those two guys locked in, Musa and Suarez, and then Peck would be a lock, but some uncertainty with him. And then taking a third DGW forward is going to feel really gross. I think those guys that he said, Allende, whoever. And then one that you guys didn't mention, who with Paslich being out, maybe you could look towards Muriel. It's a bit out there, but he could have an increased role. I'd assume he'd probably play a bit more as well. But yeah, and then single game weeks, maybe you look towards Son or Bouanga for that last game. It would be another situation kind of with Messi. Same thing for him. You stick him on your bench, but I mean those guys have been on fire, so couldn't really knock you if you went for that.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Colorado's had like a bottom 3 or 4 expected goals all season long.
Yeah, it's just really disheartening how many of these guys are gone, and you can't even kind of fall back to teams like, well, maybe Atlanta will do. Nope, all their guys are gone too. And so I have no other players to add to this list. I mean, I know Serge was so important in getting that win for the Gold Cup for Nashville, got the red card as well. But as you mentioned, Cam pushing for that golden boot. And so if Messi is going to be out, it puts him some more on level playing field for that. And that's the game potentially that it's going to be decided in. If it's Nashville versus Miami, like that could be huge to see there. But I think it's just a bit too much. I agree with Eli. If Peck is there, then that could change up a lot. If you do keep a single game week player in that spot, then you could see that. But I also do like that strategy that you mentioned, Cam, of maybe you leave Messi there, and then that factors into, well, I can leave a fifth midfielder as a scrub and just see if Messi's going to be available to slot in, and what kind of magic does he pull off and bring him off my bench with him being Messi. So you definitely got some tactical ability to see how you want to maneuver this player. But no, I don't have any other players to add in there. With so many of them gone or just not producing, then I think that's the right path to go down. Looking over at chat real quick, Christian says that he believes that Nashville is Miami's boogie team. So I would have to let's just check the stats real quick and see how that's played out. So the last time that they played Nashville, so here is Inter Miami, Nashville. That was round 20. So it's been since round 20 that they went up against Nashville. And in that game, week 20, there we go. Miami got Nashville 2-1. So that was this season, 2-1, and the goal came from Mukhtar. Assist from defense. So nothing there. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe that didn't play out this year. Maybe there's some more history there. Don't have enough time to research it right now. Perhaps Christian will share that on Discord with everyone later on. So that brings us to the very final question, which will be an interesting one because I think it takes us away from some of the usual cookie cutter answers. Who is your captain? And I won't even have the qualifier on this time. Cam.
Are you sure I can't just say Messi and then hand it off?
You can.
You can.
No, I think it's got to cluster around some of those essential midfielders that we all said that we were going to have. I think we all want to have them for a reason. We think they're going to put up big points, and so it's kind of deciding here for me between Muller and Ojeda. Although there's an outside chance that I decide to really throw a wrench into things, and I think that LAFC's clean sheet shots are pretty good, and I just throw that captainship right on Porteous or Sergi Palencia,
Do
and
it.
just give me that defender captain right at the end.
Oh man.
Yeah, same thing for me. Muller or Ojeda. That's about it.
Ashley.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it on Ojeda. I was a little worried when Mueller was hurt for a hot second. Makes me nervous that they might rest him. They're doing so well positionally. I'm making shit up. I don't know why they would do that, but that aspect of him being injured recently and not being the youngest makes me want to do Ojeda more.
You see, I'm going to go with Mueller because before he was out, he had that hat trick on his birthday against Philadelphia. Then he was out for those 2 games. Came back against Seattle, got an assist, playing a little bit over 60 minutes, and then last week against San Jose, got a goal and an assist, playing the full 90 there, as long with 10 key passes. So. If that's the kind of numbers we're going to get, I think I'm willing. I mean, I think I'm definitely having Mueller in my team, and he is my front runner for captain for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking there. Fizzy in chat says, of course, he's going to go with Lloris. I mean, the even more rare keeper captain. I mean, who knows what could happen?
3 bites. 3 bites.
3 bites. 3 chances to save penalty kicks. So
Might get an assist.
Could get an assist.
Yep.
That's right.
Right.
You never know.
Gotta
Could get a
ask,
goal if it's close.
Gotta ask
That's
Black
the
and Red
legacy.
about previous keeper captains. I think that worked pretty well in previous iterations of the game.
I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
Might not have been.
Oh snap. Oh snap.
Okay.
Way to end on a high note there, Eli. Well, let's not end there. And as we ponder our own mortality, let's go through here and just wrap things up with our plugs. Cameron, what do you want to plug?
Oh, that means I get to be the first one to plug the Discord. The
You're
Discord,
welcome.
it's a fantastic place. We all hang out there. It's got, I think I was counting, and if not all, almost all of the top 10 spent significant amounts of time in the Discord. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Yeah, that's not for me to say. But we're all in there, which means that all the best players are in there. And more importantly, I think the Discord's a really good community. The community is something that is really important right now for me, and I think for a lot of people.
Eli.
Yeah, Discord, of course, cool place to hang around. Then shout out to my dad, of course, getting me into the game. And then also I've chatted with a bunch of people on Discord just individually throughout the season, but my partner in fantasy, I'd say would be Ron, aka Half Century City. So thanks for all his insight. I love it. He always goes so in depth and it helps out a lot. So yeah, thanks to all those guys.
Ashley.
Longtime friend of the show. I'd like to give a plug to. I saw just before we hopped on air that Darlington Nagby hanging up the boots. Not a highly picked guy, but certainly our favorite CDM. And you guys already said Discord, and even specific people. Couldn't do it for a 3rd time, but I did see that right before we hopped on, and I think that's a wild end to a pretty spectacular career.
Yeah, several guys hanging up the boots this year. That just leaves me able to plug MLSFantasyBoss.com with all the great articles that we've had, even with Eli's departure here at the end of the season. Understandable. We get it right there. But yeah, it's been such a great pleasure to work with so many people with the website this year. We hope people have enjoyed the lineup of articles that we've had, and that you have found the Discord potentially through MLSFantasyBoss.com, because that is the easy way to get connected with our community right there. So it's been so much fun. We have one more round to finish strong. Which of these 2 Titans will end up with the #1 spot? We will see in some sort of Twitter update or Discord message next in a couple of weeks with the way the lineup has. So triple game week. Enjoy it so much. I hope this helped. And as always, good luck.
Recording stopped.
It's going to be perfect for both of us to give it up.
I was gonna say I appreciate